Airports, the all-important mainstays that keep America mobilized. From dusty airstrips to sprawling multiplexes, these aviation centers keep our country connected in ways that beg belief. But pulling that off is no small feat. It takes mind-numbing logistics.
Tampa Ground Airport 27 is clear of the closure.
Constant vigilance.
Yeah, he's definitely got something.
And a whole lot of elbow grease.
Oh, wow.
To keep the airports of our nation up and running. From the time the Wright brothers got that crazy contraption of theirs off the ground, airports have been an increasingly vital part of everyday American life. So much so, the U.S. is now home to 20,000 of these aviation hubs that every year will move 1 billion passengers and about 44 billion pounds of freight across the country and beyond. It's a testament to just how much can be accomplished when engineering and organization work in lockstep to serve our society. But even a system this refined sees more than its fair share of challenges, and none more daunting than the one they're facing today. The Sunday after Thanksgiving, the busiest day of the year for the airport industry, with more than 3 million people winging their way to post-holiday destinations from JFK to LAX and everywhere in between. And before day's end, 50,000 of them will pass through here. Tampa International Airport, where it's the job of 10,000 workers to ensure that all those passengers arrive on time, in one piece, and with personal belongings in tow. And for the luggage alone, Tampa International relies on a labyrinth of belts, sensors, and scanners winding a full 4 miles inside the airport's baggage system. And it's up to baggage technicians like Brian Joseph to make sure that system works as it should.
As soon as the bag check-in from the ticket agent, screened by TSA, are responsible to make sure it gets to the airside for the airlines to pick up the bags. It's very important. Without us, the baggage wouldn't get there on time. So we could never let the ticket counter back up. That's our main priority, to keep the belts moving at all times.
But on the busiest day of the year, with some 100,000 bags set to pass through the system, keeping them all on track is going to be a tall order. So Brian and his colleagues use monitors like these to help keep an eye on the big picture.
This screen pretty much tells my supervisor where all the jams are, how long the jam is there. In case I'm fixing one jam, he could tell me where another jam is at.
And when moving items of varied sizes and shapes, most of which having been packed without the needs of a conveyor belt at heart, even systems this advanced can get backed up on a regular basis. And that is where Brian comes in.
Sometimes the bag will get jammed up, or sometimes the motor could overload or something go wrong, and we need to get the bags off the conveyor belts manually, one by one. One bag gets caught on the belt, and it's like a chain reaction. The other bags keep coming, one bag jam after the other. It's gonna back up all the way to the ticket counter if I don't move it quickly.
To clear this jam, Brian will have to pull each bag off the belt and space them out for better flow. Only then can the conveyor be fired up again.
There it goes. I have to make sure I put the bags back on. Everything is good now, it's clear.
But this being the Sunday after Thanksgiving, Brian knows he's in for much more of the same today.
It's pretty much the busiest day of the year. It's way more bags than a regular day. Pretty much we'll be running up and down.
While Brian digs in for a long day of slinging luggage, out on the tarmac, another of Tampa International's team is patrolling the grounds to make sure that the 600 flights scheduled for today will land, taxi, and take off without incident. Because just one delayed flight here can ripple through airports and flight schedules across the country. So, in an effort to keep everything moving as it should, airfield technician Alex Rivera patrols the grounds for any dangerous debris that could stop a commercial jet in its tracks.
It's a lot of important work that we do here, especially on the runway. We got to keep these aircraft landing safe. Any FOD for foreign object debris we have to remove. Any trash you see is picked up. No ifs, ands, or buts, it's picked up.
That's because jet engines like these pack enough power to inhale a full-grown man from 15 feet away. But even something as small as a pebble, if sucked into an engine, can cause mechanical failures on the ground, or, worse yet, in the sky. So when Alex says he picks up any trash, that's exactly what he means.
There's a piece of fod here in the front here. I took a latex glove off and just dropped it on the ground. Something that small can cause damage to an engine.
That's one crisis averted.
There's some plastic pieces on the ground here.
But out here, keeping debris off the runway is a near constant battle.
We have found necklaces, rings. We have found hearing aids on the ramp, paper, zippers from luggages that break off, and tags. They're being driven in tugs and bags open up, things fall out the bags. It ends up on the edge of the taxiway there, and we just pick it up.
But not all items picked up on the tarmac are destined for the nearest dumpster or lost and found. On occasion, Alex will also find articles that have cleared security, but subsequently fallen off one of Tampa International's tugs.
Look at this, looks like a package here on the road. Rochester, New York.
This particular parcel appears to be one of the 1 million pounds of freight scheduled to take off from Tampa today. And with his encyclopedic knowledge of the airport's comings and goings, Alex knows exactly where and when this box is supposed to be.
The flight's leaving shortly. Don't know if I can get there on time, but I'll try to make it there on time to get this package to its destination.
But with the plane bound for New York taking off any minute now, Alex may already be too late.
They're ready to push back. See the jetway?
It's hard to know exactly what to expect on Tampa International's busiest day of the year. And maybe nowhere is that more true than with the Federal Transportation Security Administration. You know, the TSA. Here, more than 400 officers will screen 50,000 passengers and over 100,000 bags to ensure that each and every one of them is free from any threats to travelers or the aviation system at large. And for the most deadly of those threats, they rely on a TSSE, which is short for Transportation Security Specialist Explosives. Or, in this case, he also answers to Craig.
My job as a TSSE is prevent explosive threats from entering our airports and making it past our checkpoints. I respond to actual threats that they call me for on the checkpoint and in baggage.
And all that keeps guys like Craig constantly on their guard. Because while most of us like to think we'd never bring dangerous items to an airport, you wouldn't believe how many of us do.
What we've got here are a lot of items, dangerous items that have been voluntarily abandoned on our checkpoint. This is just a small snippet of what we get throughout the year here. You can just imagine what we get throughout the country, all across America.
In a typical year, the TSA will intercept more than 4,000 guns alone at checkpoints across the country, most of them loaded. So, on the busiest day of days at Tampa International, Craig will need to be ready for anything.
This is an urgent message for Craig Say from Transportation Security Administration. Here is your message. Possible grenade, TPA. TCC was notified of a possible grenade on checked baggage.
A possible grenade in a bag is no small threat. So, while Craig makes his way to Pod 5, his fellow TSA officers in charge of screening checked luggage are diverting the bag from the main system.
The bag will be on the conveyor belt, get pushed by an arm to a baggage pod that'll be isolated. That's where we're headed now, and I'll meet the supervisor there. Once we're there, we'll open up the bag and see what we got.
Per protocol, with any potential explosive device, the baggage pod has been evacuated to 300 feet, with the exception of Craig and the pod supervisor.
Is that the bag at the end of the belt?
That's the bag.
Bye.